Because, I don't know about you, but I love breaking embargoes early
I
when
was
they're
like,
not my embargoes.
the
I'm
yeah, oh,
all about
absolutely.
the leak culture.
The,
I'm super
oh,
into the rumors, and
so what is
that's what I
this?
live
Only Juan
for.
leaks kind of thing?
And
Kind of an
only
approach.
wants
Juan leaks.
leaks. So
Sorry, we had to
in
go
my
there.
excitement, because I'm doing this on a G9, and I picked
Hmm.
up a great deal on another Panasonic G9, and I'm for the immediate term, as much as I love Sony mirrorless cameras, those would be my aspirational. I need those cameras.
Dude,
I'm gonna
I'm
be
struggling trying to figure out how I'm gonna afford the camera because it's yeah.
I'm gonna be slumming it with Micro Four Thirds for a while. In fact, I might even pick up. There's an Olympus 20 millimeter f1.4 that's just absolutely stunning glass,
Hmm.
and it would be kind of the perfect medium shot for this office, where it
I'm
would
gonna
kind of
tweet about the show, by the way. Sorry, I forgot
better
about that.
frame me with the bookcase. I completely forgot to tweet the show. Hey, Greg,
Hey,
you're
Greg,
you're
hey.
the only one right now.
I was gonna say people didn't get it. Yeah.
So, in my excitement over catching some news on the new GH6, I caught this channel. I mean, I think this guy's got like 9,000 subscribers. I mean, it's a really, really small Japanese photography channel,
Hmm.
and he does like this whole crazy breakdown on the GH6. And I mean, like, yes. He's spelling out like every single detail and menu in the entire camera, and I
So I
share
saw
it.
the same
I put it
video in
out
English.
all
Yeah,
over the
yeah.
place,
I so
and
that
and
video
so
got taken down.
like everyone's like, "Oh, hey Juan, by the way, this video's set to private," and I'm like, "Oh, I." I seem to have shared a video that was probably breaking Panasonic's embargo.
I think
How
you
embarrassing.
broke the broken embargo. Hold on.
I
Let me
probably
just.
called enough attention to this poor guy's channel that he got tagged by Panasonic. Hey, maybe
Yeah.
don't do that. But hey, Scoop, you can't just drop a comment like that and let it go. So Scoop is saying he just got rid of
What?
most of his Sony gear, and that now he is on the
Scoop,
Fujifilm team.
are you still getting rid of some of your Sony stuff? I'd like to check out the the collection. I
I
wouldn't
mean,
mind pick.
especially for TK, you
I'm
can't
trying to keep it the Sony life, man.
you can't just dump that and not like give him a heads up. We need more information, is what we're saying, Scoop. So if you could fill us in, like I said, I'm probably going to be kicking it with my Panasonic gear for a while longer yet. And if I
I.
do,
Hmm.
because it's not an expensive lens, but it's not a cheap lens,
Hmm.
and it's like that right in there. I mean, I lived my life out of 50 millimeter fast primes on
Prime.
my
Yeah. No.
Canon cameras,
Yeah. Yeah.
and to get a 40 millimeter equivalent f1.4 for Micro Four Thirds would be right in my sweet spot. It would be real nice.
Oh, don't get me wrong. And to be honest, I'm very excited to what the GH6 is going to what it looks like it's going to be with all of the configurations and
It looks like
options
a
that you get.
video monster with
Oh,
some
absolutely.
good photo, with some good photography support.
Which is absolutely what the A7S III is. It's a great video camera with capabilities of shooting a stills,
Yeah.
where the A7 IV is supposed to be more of an all-well-rounder between both video and photo, as opposed to going to like an FX on a Sony. So for me, I see it as a very promising setup. The only problem is, as much as excitement as I have for it, I have no more hardware for any kind of Micro Four Thirds. All of my lenses now are primes, not primes, full frame. I have a couple primes, but so for me, I'm in the limbo, right? I saw somebody selling an A7S III. I was debating either go for an A7 IV now or an A7S III. It'll be a dual of the A7 III S3s, and I can take one with me and keep the other one here, or just bite the bullet and go for the A7 IV, which I really enjoyed at CES. It was actually a very nice camera setup, easy interface, obviously very familiar. The one thing I wasn't very comfortable with the GH6, and that kind of always takes me back. They like to use two separate types of memory for their cameras, and
Yeah.
you can't have two
Two
SD
SD
cards.
cards.
You have to do compact flash and an SD. Now they do support class 3, which is nice. So anyways, I think I watched the exact same Japanese video, but it was with a gentleman that was translating everything for us. So there was if you Google it, the video's there.
I was the Google auto translation from Japanese to English was adorable.
We
it
should
was
do
like,
we should do like a commentary on videos of ours that let Google Translate figure out what we're trying to say.
translate it into Japanese and then translate it back
There's a
into
back.
English, and
Yeah,
like it's
Mythical
just
Morning
super
used to
cute.
do that. Did you ever watch that on the Good Mythical Morning show? they would they would do the auto translate and then translate it back and then see if Google got it right, and it was not even close.
Yeah, it's good times. Here, I'm just retweeting our tweet. Just
Oh,
to
no, no,
say,
absolutely.
hey,
So, with that being said, I do want to say welcome back to the best of our week. It is February 17th. I need to always look because I don't know. It's 17th, 2022, a couple of days away from 2/22/22. The
ooh, on a Tuesday.
on a Tuesday. What? That's how we do it. You know what I mean? It's going to be one of those days. Thank you very much again. Bionic Scoop is in the chat. Barry Johnson's in there. Greg is hanging out with us as well. I see Ronguido. Oh, Ronguido. Sorry. I thought it was an L for some reason. And of course, everybody else that's going to be listening to us on the audio podcast. Hope you guys are doing well. And this week has been a slightly different week. We're in a little bit of a lull kind of things, like the GH6 was out of the blue kind of thing. I think there's an event, right? Isn't there like an event in 4 days, the official launch?
I mean, it's coming up now. Now we know everything. It's
like a
shame
Samsung.
for Panasonic
It's like a
folks,
Samsung
but-
event, right? You know everything before everything is launched, and
Yeah, the difference is I still genuinely feel like Samsung does that on purpose, and I don't believe Panasonic was about that kind.
No. Panasonic is relentless about these type of leak. I mean, we'll hear certain rumors and people's opinions, but this was a walkthrough.
Well, and
Like
especially-
my level of walkthroughs where the guy goes through every
yeah.
feature, every menu, every section, down to the 4K 60 with the log, with how much bitrate we're talking about. Like, I mean,
Yep.
okay. Short of showing me a
like,
sample, I think that was
best,
the only thing.
like autofocus settings and the difference on like the different like phase. I mean, eye level detection versus pet detection. I mean, again, it was
I
like
wanna see, yeah.
I'm in it. I'm into this. Let's just kind of ruin the whole thing. Unfortunately for the Panasonic folks, this is such an anticipated camera in the Micro Four Thirds community because we keep having those. Is this the end of Micro Four Thirds? And Olympus showing off some really solid gear for. I think Olympus's OM1 series is focusing a little bit more on stills, and there are good video features. I think Panasonic is finding their footing with very good video support with some good stills,
And I think
that's why I've been gravitating towards
more
the G9.
more creators, because I think they're trying to feed into the creators section, right? The S series last time was more trying to fix the autofocusing on the GH5, which a lot of people were concerned. And don't get me wrong, I lived with the GH5 for over a year and a half, almost 2 years, with the whole autofocusing and the consistent pulsating seeking issue. It did get better, but I think the GH5S fixed that. And now the GH6, I think, would be definitely.
I mean, what's funny is like eye detection on the G9, I think, beat the GH5.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
that was what I was going to say.
It's
G9
funny, like
was-
the way that their updates have been like staggered, and now it's whatever this like second GH5 Mark II or something that they've got, I think is just further improved on the GH5. But the GH6 looks like it's going to be taking this to a much better place. I'm probably not gonna get a GH6 because I'm happy with my G9. But after
I'm sure you
some
wouldn't mind.
conversations,
You wouldn't mind having one as a loaner just to play around with a little bit, maybe.
yeah, that'd
you,
be
you
great.
won't say no.
But it was
So
actually
Panasonic
having
is
some
listening.
conversations on the Discord today, talking about YouTubers acting like 24 frames per second versus 30 frames per second with some kind of meaningful difference. And I mean, I genuinely prefer shooting everything at 60.
That's
really
what I
wanna-
answered. That tweet, I saw the same. I answered that with 4K 60 for the win, man. I'm sorry, no 30.
I
like to
really
shoot.
want to switch now. I mean, like if that's how YouTube reviewers are going to act, well, I need to go to 4K 120. I need to show them the right way to do this. If I'm going to run editorial and talk about 120 frame per second displays, then I need
4K
to do
120. Say what?
4K 120. That's exactly
4K 120,
right.
save it, baby. No, I shoot for 4K 120 and make sure your entire video is in
No,
slow.
I mean, TK, it's so important that we have 120 hertz on our phone screens. Let me show you that in 24 frame per second video. Can't you see how smooth and how
I think,
crisp everything is when
Well, no.
when I shoot at 1/4 the speed of what the screen can actually refresh. That's what's so important about having fluid UI, TK. You understand.
You cannot appreciate 144 hertz unless
I
you
mean,
shoot it at 24.
I mean, it's cinema, right? Human eye
It,
can't even see more than 24
no, no, no.
frames per
I think the
second.
reality is the type of content that the creators that use something at that slow frame rate is really more of a pretty pictures and so on, and it's trying to make more of a commercial style. It's a different style of production. I don't necessarily at the end of the day, what I look at it, I said, look, I prefer to have the performance and the data there for me. And if I want to shoot in 4K 60 and produce 4K 30, that's my choice. And I feel like that's where I get the crispy quality images, especially when you're talking high refresh rate. Everything on the market right now is 90 to 120 to 144 to 165 on the Red Magic last year. So the reality is, unless you're having hardware that can actually catch up somewhat, so that you can show how crispy the transitions and the motion of the UI elements, again, 4K 60 for the win. That's exactly what I said.
Well, okay, but again, I need to point this out. I mean,
Yeah.
the reason why I switched over to 60 frames per second back in the 1080p days, it was a specific choice for editorial. I
Oh,
wasn't
it is,
shooting
absolutely.
a commercial for each phone. I wasn't trying to shoot advertising or cinematic marketing materials for each phone. It was still, I mean, like, that was back in those days. I mean, like, I think I made the switch to 1080p 60. I mean, we were still talking about, like, the lag in TouchWiz. And I felt, to me, it's like, it is insufficient to
Oh my
say,
God.
oh,
Are we talking Note
sometimes
4 times at this point?
sometimes the phone kind of lags a little bit.
Yeah.
That to me is such a hack way of trying to throw some FUD into a phone conversation. So if there was something noticeable that I could catch on camera, that to me was good evidence to say, hey, this is somewhere where I think there really is an issue with the performance of this phone, to a point where not only can I see it, but I can demonstrate it so that we can see it on camera. And as we've gone, and as we've improved in camera technology, I kind of held out for faster frame rate over the highest possible resolution until now I can shoot 4K 60. And to me, that is now the best possible presentation for editorial. If you want to shoot cinematic, we have this understanding of a lower frame rate with better motion blur, resulting in a more pleasant image for entertainment.
Yep.
That is not what I'm trying to accomplish. I am trying to accomplish commentary. And sometimes, I mean, like, if I need to, my cameras will crank 180 frames per second for slow motion shots, so that then I can drop it to a 3:1, and it's still 60 frames per second, just 1/3 slow motion. So
No.
like that to me is more valuable as a perspective of commentary than just always trying to show you the prettiest image that I can make, because they're
Oh,
all just
I was gonna
slabs
say
of rectangles.
the hardware is pretty enough. I mean, speaking of pretty, not that I want to segue this conversation. Let's look at this beauty right there. Look at
That
come
is
on,
pretty.
come on, Sony. Yes, that is. This is crazy. So don't get me wrong. This is crazy. The day I got this phone, I was like, there's no
is very
way
pretty.
this thing, like, the whole reflective thing. Remember the OnePlus? I think it was like the OnePlus 8 with that Aurora reflective, massively reflect. You could never get a picture of that phone. This phone entirely becomes red in the sun. Like, if you go outside and put it in there, the whole back becomes a red sun, like a sunset
BBK
red.
really loves playing with those, like,
Oh, I love the.
because I still have my OnePlus 8. I mean, I still have that hypercolor
So
OnePlus 8.
I gave
so.
so I gave the 8 to my mom because she needs it. So she's been using the OnePlus 8. Totally loves it. And but like, seriously, this is it's such a, and in the case they gave me with it was also clear, so you never lost that color. So yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Hardware is pretty enough as it is, and it's really about capturing the capabilities. So not to kind of belay or make that entire story too long. Speaking of hardware, I do want to talk about that one comment that we saw, because that came out of nowhere for me. The Sony earbuds, open ear earbuds. Like, I was like, what? Earbuds that are open ear? So I was like, okay, so I'll say this. I'll throw that over to you. What do you think?
Well, no. Hold on. Before I suck all the air out of the room, because I'm the audio nerd, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this first before
Okay.
I kind of go off on.
So
some thoughts.
I'm a little bit. Okay, I'll preface this by saying the only experience I've ever had with open ear was when I had a chance to borrow your headphones, your over the ear open ear open back, not open ear. And the experience that I had with that was actually very pleasant for me. But I also was enjoying them on much bigger drivers. The quality of the audio, the performance wasn't Bluetooth, it wasn't wireless. It was basically wired directly into my PC using I think it was the helm that I was using at the time. Oh no, I think I used it with a THX because you were borrowing the helm at the time. Either way, same technology. THX, it was essentially what it is. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It took me about a day or so to get used to it because of the experience was very different. Like again, closed backs. It's been what I use and I still use to this day.
Right.
I like I think I'm interested to check them out to see what they can do. I don't necessarily for me, I feel like this is something more to use indoors. They're not all-rounders in the sense where you can go outside because you need to have certain environmental quietness for them to work the way they're supposed to. It's similar to the open back, right? So studio at home, you want to be aware if the kids are doing things, the family's doing whatever. Those are the type of things. You want to take a call, but you don't necessarily want to ignore the rest of the room. I feel like that also helps a lot. So for that solution, I feel like those would definitely perform better. Do I feel like they would be my favorite solution from Sony as far as in-ear or audio solutions? I probably will revert back to some of their XM4s a little bit more because that's what I enjoyed the most. Not that I don't like in-ear or open back. I just feel like the transparency mode when you're listening to them without having ANC does a decent enough job for me to keep me that same functionality. So mixed emotions, but again,
So I mean, along with that, because you're talking again, I feel the most important conversation in any audio gear is to talk about the expected usage.
Yeah.
So often when we're talking about closed backs, there's some natural idea of a closed back helping you reduce noise in your environment. Maybe you don't always have the best soundproofing, the best treatments, the best isolation. So you're leaning on the headphones to help supply some of that. So in your experiences, you've played with some great audiophile grade. Right now you're wearing a pair of classic Bearer Dynamics, like a style of headphone that has not changed in decades because it's just so well understood. So how do you feel about something like Pixel Buds?
So with the Pixel Bud, are we talking about the last first gen or A-series,
the last
or the ones when they were wired?
The last two generations have been true wireless, but they've been vented. So they are intraoral. They're not like the original Pixel Buds, which just had that weird kind of
that's why I was kind of
lump.
like preface it. Which version of the Pixel Buds are we talking about?
Pixel Buds and Pixel Buds A-series are they're intraoral. They go in the ear canal, but they're also vented. So how does that kind of line up with some of your usage, considering some of the other applications that you found yourself using closed back?
So when the thing about it, so we want to preface a little bit of a different experience. In-ear buds or earbuds, as opposed to over ears or on ears, the audio is different. There's a difference. The driver performance, the size of the drivers, and what you're able to drive out of them is a different experience. We're talking Bluetooth over wired. For the Buds A and the Pixel Buds, both actually performed quite well for me. I enjoyed the audio performance. I never had to boost the audio to the level very high.
Well,
to
the A-series does that really good compression trick. I mean, it works way better than you think it would, for sure.
Yeah, and you wouldn't imagine it being the second generation trying to be more budget friendly, outperforming the first. I think so to answer your question, I actually enjoy the A series. The Pixel Buds A, for me, were a little bit more enjoyable, mostly because of that connectivity concerns. We did have some issues with Bluetooth connectivity on the first gen. The second one fixed that problem. I like the audio performance. I like the connection and overall the sound quality.
To kind of hone this in because of what Sony's doing here, one of the changes that I don't think a lot of consumers have had experience with is the notion of like an intraoral open kind of sound. And here like Sony is obviously
it's not really in ear, right? It's in It's
kind of like
in the ear canal. It's sitting. It's
almost like a bean. It's not quite like an intraoral.
Yeah. It sits right around, shooting the audio in, and then there's a really interesting trick with the whole tapping on the skin. And I was like, ooh, okay, I see how it is.
So we have examples of like what I'd say that's kind of like the Pixel Buds and the Pixel Buds A series are vented.
Yeah.
We have examples of monitors and earbuds, even cabled earbuds that
Oh,
have a
IAMs, yeah.
casing that allows for more sound to come in depending on the kind of reference or the kind of monitoring that you want to do. And then we've got earbuds that are known for being like hyper isolating. And we can go into some fairly exotic kinds of solutions. Like there's the iSign. iSign has like, it's like a planar magnetic earbud that looks like a big ol' Honeycrisp, like honeycomb is kind of sitting in front of your ear cavity. And so we've played with things like open speaker systems. We've played with things like AirPods and earpods that just sort of lazily plop in front of the ear canal. And I think
Yeah.
what Sony's trying to do is find something that's a little bit more Samsung Bean, not so hyper isolating, and allows for a more open audio listening experience. Because whenever we go closed back, we're kind of messing with the functionality of the ear to detect sound in space. And sometimes that can be really satisfying, and sometimes that can be very unsettling. There are some people who are really negatively affected by closing off the ear or being too isolating with something like active noise cancellation. It's why, like I don't hit like the Mobvoi earbuds. I
Oh,
don't hit
okay.
them too hard because I do believe there are some people who want a lower level ANC that doesn't give you that stuffy ear feeling from being too hyper isolating. You just got to know that about yourself. If you're into, for me, like my go-to neckband are still my One Mores because it sounds like I put my head in a pillow vise. Like,
Speaking of one mores,
yeah, exactly. I mean,
my
like
first one mores.
but I still have these guys, like
Yeah.
the old neckband. I still don't think this is the pair of headphones I almost got ran over in, and I did not hear the car, but I almost hit their side mirror. Like the ANC is that brutal. So the flip side of that is finding other opportunities to craft an audio experience, and true wireless is just in the baby steps phases of multiple drivers, different kinds of tuning, so that you have choice, and it's not just everyone trying to rip off the AirPods. I mean, one of the headphones I'm going to be talking about, I finally got to play with those budget SoundPeats, and they're solid. The video goes out on that tomorrow, and they're like $50. And you're like, there's really no point in spending AirPods money on something unless you have a hyper specific tech need that isn't addressed at like $50 or $60. So I
absolutely.
think what Sony is doing is interesting because we need that variety in true wireless if we're ever really going to start taking it as seriously as cabled audio. Like I still have a stupid collection of in-ear monitors, of Chi-Fi, of just bullets and sport earbuds, because genuinely I can go granular. Like my Ecos are my favorite headphones to listen to Dolly Parton on. And when I'm done listening to Dolly Parton, I can put these away and pick up my KZs for when I just want some crazy rumble, drum and bass kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, I know
Exactly.
what you mean. Yeah, no,
So-
Soundcore does a decent job of that too. But yeah, no,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
with you. KZ's for sure.
I mean, even my older Soundcore, like, man, those things are just like rumble junkies.
I
Like,
know, well, especially because they get better. Soundcore 2's got LDAC right before the Soundcore 3 came out. I was like, what?
Yup.
That is crazy, man. That is crazy.
Crazy.
No,
I mean, I'm on the Vivos right now. I mean, Vivo came out with a respectable pair of true wireless, the new One Plus buds, respectable true
those
wireless.
are very nice. Yeah.
But what we need is that greater breadth of all of the different types of solutions for all the different types of ears. And I think what Sony is doing is interesting. Obviously, they're trying to do something a little eye-catching so they don't look like every other earbud.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
They're
They
trying to brand
from a design
little.
standpoint, they look super unique. And when you see somebody with the ear kind of, and they're like, wait, there's a hole in your earbuds. I'm like, no, that's how they're supposed to be.
But that's kind of it, is like they're supposed to be conversation pieces. They're supposed to draw a little attention, and then they genuinely are trying to do. They are trying to craft a different kind of more open listening experience. And from when you listened on my open back planar magnetics, my
Planar
Odyssey, they craft space and they craft sound around you in a significantly different way than closed back. And it's not that one's better than the other, it's just that you have a different
Well,
utility.
I say no. I actually think the open backs are better in a certain aspect because they are you're like you said, closed back, they're trying to force our ears to do something it's not naturally designed to do. Our ears are intended to actually detect sound from where it's coming from different
And
directions
position us in space.
in space. So,
Yeah.
and I think open backs allow us to still have that functionality and still enjoy audio. And the better quality with the planar magnetics that I enjoyed there is that the audio was so crisp and so clear that I didn't need to boost the sound. I didn't need to overly amplify the audio. As long as you're in a, again, this is where the environment becomes part of the experience. Open back or open earbuds or open back need to be in studio, need to be in more of a quiet environment because everybody around you can hear what you're listening to. And to that, Sony, I think, has definitely a very specific, design and function for these buds. I think they work, and obviously they do a good job. They're not necessarily intended outdoors. I will say as much as I don't think they're meant for my type of usage. I would not appreciate, because for me, buds, I don't use them to edit. I don't use them to do work. For me, earbuds are connected to a smartphone, connected to a tablet, maybe a portable PC when I'm out and about. But at the end of the day, they're there for content consumption, maybe video call every once in a while.
Right.
But it's always going to be studio. It's never going to be where we're in the middle of something and I want to block the environmental noise to get that personal experience. So good choice.
Even that can be to varying degrees. Like I just held up my Ecos. The Ecos actually have a pretty decent, I mean, once you get the foam to kind of lodge in just the right angle,
squish it.
I think they're pretty solid. I come at this from a background of field mixing and field recording, and I'm also a pretty sweaty dude. And as much as I love DJ style headphones like the old Sennheiser HD 25s, those are the ones that had like the split plastic band.
I enjoy my Ecos as well. I take them out with me all the time.
The Ecos are solid. So those had like on-ear ear cups that you would pull the band and they would just vice clamp your ears into the side of your head, and they were great. And I did a number of short films. I worked in Hollywood out of those things, but it was kind of a revelation when I went back to reference hyper isolating in-ear monitors for that kind of work. And I didn't have to clamp the side of my head. I didn't have to sweat into ear cups. Like I could never take my 770s out into the field. It just, I'd be dripping. It'd be pouring buckets. And again, that kind of a material choice is just, it's so personal to that experience. So even when I'm listening to like kind of something boutiquey and exotic, like the periodic audios, those are hyper isolating earbuds. They shut down the world around you. And as much as we get real lit up about, this is like 35 decibels of attenuation and active noise cancellation, no, just shoving a wad of foam into your ear will often beat all that fancy microphone modeling and stuff. But
DIY ANC for the level for the win.
Yeah, it's I mean it's as direct a solution as you can find, but because we're closing off the ear, you are fundamentally changing the experience of what it is that you're trying to listen to. The articulation of instruments changes. The tuning has to compensate.
Oh, absolutely.
You'll see in other people, like when they have those really fancy mic modeling rigs that are shaped like the human skull, like that's $10,000 worth of dummy head and microphones to test earbuds. But you're always going to see these strange like resonance peaks because of how you're inserting sound creating items into a sound recording enclosure. And your skull does something similar, but everybody's skull is different. So you can't properly
everybody's
account for that either.
ears are different. Yeah, the way the sound resonates to and goes in.
But
is even
if you treat the headphone a little bit more like speakers, where the sound is supposed to disseminate in air around you, in an open back kind of headphone, that's one of the reasons why we point to open back as being the more premium and lush content consumption kind of solution, because it helps sort of fog that audio out in more directions, in more space, and captures a more nuanced sound stage in that stereo spectrum. So I'm hoping what Sony is trying to accomplish is something a little less like Aftershocks or like all of these sound playing sunglasses. And I hope what they're trying to accomplish is something a little bit more like the iSign, like an open back headphone,
Yeah.
so that the audio or the music listening experience is broader. And that hopefully, I mean, again, it's sort of buyer beware, because I think a lot of people think expensive earbuds, I can wear them on an airplane. As long as there's some sort of understanding of what these things are trying to accomplish, if that's what they're trying to accomplish,
Yeah.
that the person who might be in the market for something like that isn't trying to force them
Yeah.
into
No, no. I mean, I'm still
busier
interested in
environments.
trying the Sony solution to see how that works. Again, first of its kind, I think, if I'm not mistaken, for an open. I mean, obviously we have bone conduction, and there's other technologies that allow you to have your ear open. I'm talking about just more of something that sits or resides in the ear in a way, not in the ear canal. Sorry, I just hit the DT7070s. So I wouldn't mind trying them out. Obviously, there's no ear tips to worry about here, since it is what it is. And I'm not sure how the fit would work, with depending if you have certain specific shapes ear. But again, I feel like it's a good. It's good to have options. It's good to have different experiences, and to be able to select what you need for what you like. And the Sonys, I mean, like I said, they look interesting, and I would love to try them out. But from what I've seen, at least at this point, if I had to kind of pick between them and, let's say, just like a standard XM4s, I'll probably just go straight up to the XM4, even though it's a little bit more. But it's something that I'm used to, and I'm comfortable in that.
I'm a big fan of Sony. I've got my XM4 cans.
So those are also really good with
I
solution.
like those. They're very good noise canceling travel. And again, I mean, like, I got them on a sale where they were less than half the price of like AirPods Max.
Oh, yeah, you should always keep an eye out for Sony sales. When they do sell, they'll do
They're
really
good.
good deals.
They're great. So when I'm looking at Link Buds, and we're talking at around the 180, I know the XM4s were kind of ballparking more towards the premium end of that
250,
market
yeah,
too.
depending where you can get them.
It's one of the dangers. Like, I truly
270,
do believe the mission of a Sony is to bring premium manufacturing and engineering and talent and higher quality materials into a conversation about consumer electronics. But right now, they've got competition nipping at their heels in terms of like consumer experience. Scientifically, you might be able to verify a Sony earbud is going to do this with the frequency response and the distortion, and it might be getting to a tier that human ears are going to have a difficult time discerning differences. And so that is one of the concerns when we're talking about XM4s, when we're talking about these Link Buds. The novelty of all of this tech is eroding quickly. I think we're in for a shorter window of time where true wireless seems impressive, because right now I'm listening to this on Vivo Buds. My review that's going out tomorrow, those are $50 earbuds with ANC. The
We're
overall
both putting
consumer
out earbud
experience,
videos tomorrow, surprisingly. So good.
you
Not
gotta,
planned.
you gotta treat your ears. They're fun.
I was gonna say not planned at all, but yeah.
And at the same time, I mean, I was just talking about this with Paul on the Discord too. Like, I'm seeing a lot of people going back to cables. Like, I don't live too far from the high school, and I'll go out on my little daily walk and like listen to some podcasts and stuff. And I'm seeing kids with cables connected to their phones with stuff plugged into their ears. So this notion that like true wireless is this great value add for a company, it's an easy way to jack up some accessory costs and pad your profit margins, I think it has a limited saturation point. And there are some people, like Dank Pods just came out with a video saying like he's done with Bluetooth. Obviously he won't be, because he's still going to review a bunch of products and talk about a whole bunch of different gadgets and stuff. But like, for his own personal uses, he's gone back to these like $30 Chi-Fi that plug into this, and he wants a headphone jack back on all of his Mac products. And you're like, yeah. I mean, when you get tired of charging batteries and seeing products die before their time, I can totally vibe with. Sometimes you just need to plug in a cable.
Sometimes you just need something that is that not only reliable, but that it works. That there's no funny thing. You said that the battery died. I typically don't have that problem, but as I was testing the One Mores, these are the Color Buds 2. I think you already took a look at these guys.
Oh yeah, Color Buds 2 are pretty solid.
Very, very. But I actually killed the battery on them, not realizing that I
Yeah.
didn't charge them in time for the last 4 days. So, I was it last night, and I was like trying to I put both of them in, and the right ear had about 20%, but the left ear didn't. So I was like, oh crap, I gotta charge this up. So I couldn't listen to
Yeah.
to the track to put them back in the case and so on. But I have to. Okay, so where we are right now in 2022, audio wireless solution has been the features are trickling down to the affordable budget area.
Hmm.
A $50, $60 pair of buds are featuring technologies that a year or maybe 2 years ago were reserved to the $200 to $300 earbuds. So this is where I think it feeds into the whole we're not going to be very as impressed down the road because all of the
Hmm.
features are there and we're getting ANC, we're getting pass through, we're getting customizable shortcut, app control, and I was actually surprised. One More's have an app. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like you can
It's
control a whole bunch.
pretty good.
It's a solid offering. So, not to make this obviously an entire show on buds, I think we're both very interested. I do appreciate your view on the Sony's because
So I mean, the SoundPeats that I have are known for being like super teeny, and now I think I've lost them on my desk. I can't find
I
them.
so these the one mores are tiny, like super.
So I found them. These are the
Look at that.
SoundPeats Mini Pro. The
Uh huh.
case is just a touch bigger than the Color Buds,
Oh.
but the Color Buds and the Mini Pro are two of my best options for utilizing a smaller arm that fits the rubber tip that goes into your ear. So the first generation Color Buds had the absolute smallest arm I think I've
Oh,
reviewed on any consumer buds.
even smaller than the
Even
two, I
smaller than
guess.
the two. So the Color Buds one used they didn't use a dynamic driver. They used a little balanced arm, balanced armature, tiny little driver, and I think that actually helped them keep the casing even just a touch. I mean, we're talking like fractions of a millimeter of plastic difference. But what's kind of impressive is on these SoundPeats, they went oval ear tip, and obviously at their tallest, I'm showing this like you'll be able to see this on camera right now. At their tallest, they're a little bit wider, but at their width, they're actually narrower than the arm that goes on the Color Buds. So now
Okay.
these are now some of the smallest insertion point headphones I think I've ever tried. And obviously, if you've got issues like trying to get something an inner aural earbud to fit, I mean, you should still talk to an audiologist. But we're starting to find a few solutions that are closing the gap and offering even more. Even more variety of sizes, but an ergonomic advantage to going smaller.
Well, and this is why I liked. So one thing I liked about the One Mores that I really appreciated was the first pair of buds that I've ever seen that came with four sizes for the ear tips, not three, which is typically small, medium,
Oh
large.
yeah.
We have small, extra small, medium, and large.
One More did not get enough credit. They used to do, I mean, on their more expensive stuff, you would get two different types of tips with two different materials.
Oh, so
And
those are the ones I really appreciate when they're able to give
yeah,
you the foam and the silicone, because 90% of them are all silicone tips, and those you could probably replace if you can. But sometimes you want to have that foam tip and to be able to actually get that really good isolation and just block everything. So very pleased, pleased and surprised with some of the capabilities the One More do. The audio, anyways, you'll see it in the video. So my video for tomorrow morning is the One More's Color Buds 2, and of course Juan's putting in his buds out there. So we'll see which bud is the best. Too many buds in this. Wait, on the wrong direction. I keep pointing. You're always in the wrong spot. Hold on a second. Let me put you in the right spot. Here you go. Okay, here. Let's switch us back and let's go back into a serious tone. But there was another video that, well, you actually have the other video that came out, was it yesterday? Well, on the Patreon first, and of course now it's available. The Pixel 6 Pro camera deep dive, or
yeah.
the video that I think quite a few people were waiting, and I'm sure tens, if not 30s and 40s and 50 gigs of
If you need to hear
content.
me talk for 36 minutes about Pixel camera performance, the video is finally live.
I was going to say, go. I'll be back in 30 minutes. No, it's okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it's live on the Patreon. I don't know that I'm gonna keep doing the sort of conclusion cut down videos. Like I would kind of cut out just like a couple minutes of the main review and put that up on YouTube. It just seems to piss people off. But yeah, it's Google in a state of transition.
Yeah.
This is the biggest collection of transitions I think we've seen from Google ever. Like the changes that are happening here are going from like Pixel 4, Pixel 5 to Pixel 6 are substantially more profound than even when we went from the Nexus to the Pixel. And tackling all in one year, all in one phone, SoC change, Android operating system change, and multiple camera sensor changes is a
Well,
lot. That's a lot to bite off.
it's a lot of moving parts, and I think that's the main thing that people need to appreciate what Google's trying to juggle. No, absolutely, and I don't know where mine is because usually I have it within.
Oh, you're playing with all of your pretty fancy other phones right now.
Realme's?
I'm also while we're saying this,
or phones I can't talk about. Yeah,
I finally started getting my Vivo set up again. So
Okay. Seriously, one of the worst things I've ever done is give you back that phone. You guys didn't see it before off camera. I mean, we're seriously like we're trying to maybe downplay it and so on. It was the hardest device to give back. Not that I mean, obviously I was going to give it back.
It was the easiest device to receive back. This is the easiest time I've ever had. Like someone handing me a phone, me taking it and saying yes, thank you. It's the easiest it's ever been.
When you have access to a camera system that just vibes with you on the right level. That's the way I can describe the Vivo. It vibes with me, and it feeds into the way I think of content, how I want to set up the content, how I want to create it, how smooth and everything was running. Android 12 helped a little bit as well, but overall, that's why I miss it. That's why I really like the Vivo. The camera representation here is literally, it's a camera system with a smartphone around it. And that's how I like my phones. I love them to be a production style hardware. I mean, for me, not just as a creator, but as a father, and also as a person that loves to take pictures in general. I always think of a camera as a core product of a phone when you buy one, where you're going to get it. Because to me, at the end of the day, many smartphones can do things now at a very $200 to $300 that can be very fluid, very, very good. I mean, seriously, the Realme, absolutely gorgeous display, gorgeous back, very good technology. This one's running I think it was the Helio G96. And then
good.
they released the Pro, the 9 Pro was running on the 695. So you get a nice balance between, MediaTek and Qualcomm, different experiences, solid camera performance. But you know what I mean? Like I said, I still miss the Vivo. So anyways, not to belay the conversation, let's do another challenge with Vivo X70 Pro Plus versus something else that I have, and we'll do that we'll have. So I'm since we returned hardware. By the way, we posted a video on Monday. I posted it on my channel. Juan and I had an opportunity last week on Saturday to do a little bit of a kind of a rundown of our challenge and some of the conversations going back and forth. So I posted that, and so that's available on the channel as of Monday. So I didn't want to talk too much about it, but it's kind of us chit-chatting for about 45 minutes and trying to keep conversation going about the challenge and what it meant to us. So that was a very nice conversation.
It's a good way to wrap it all up. Yeah.
No, absolutely. And kind of kicking off what we potentially could be doing very soon. So I think gaming is a big part. We both like gaming on smartphones.
Yeah.
We should do something there. So my video that came up a couple of days ago was in line with Realme's global launch of the Realme 9 and 9 Pro Plus. The 9 Pro and the 9 Pro Plus. I keep forgetting that they're both Pros, but one is Pro Plus and Pro. Both mid-range smartphones, but the big thing that I really was surprised is the IMX766 camera that they brought into this form factor, or to this category. Was very surprising. I think the Pro Plus wins camera performance, and I think the Pro is more gaming. So if you kind of have to look at them between the two, if you really want photography, go to Pro Plus. If you really want gaming, 120 hertz, high refresh rate, large battery, I think the Pro is definitely going to be that market. And I think it was a good balance between the two. So hope if you guys are interested, I did a nice comparison between the two and showcase some of the main features between the two. And Realme UI 3.0 on Android 12, also nice to see. Realme starting to push out Android 12, not Android 11 running, like MIUI. I think we're seeing more
Yeah.
MIUI devices running on Android 11 as opposed to, but
Yeah,
I
and we're
digress.
supposed to be seeing that MIUI 13 rollout coming soon. It's been kind of interesting because
I'm
I've
still waiting for
definitely
that.
been
Yeah.
struggling with like testing performance and trying to describe what performance is like. Because I mean, I put out a video about Android 12 and scoped storage and
Yeah.
some of the issues that I've been having. And when you show it off, I mean, the frustrating thing is like I can set up tests in a way where I'm comparing one specific aspect of performance.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing a batch process on a whole stack of photos, okay, when I actually have everything set up and the batch is ready to be applied and I'm pushing save on running that batch, they're performing comparably. But the experience getting to that point has been affected because of the way that Android is now handling file system things. So it's disingenuous to say,
I
well,
was
this phone's
shocked on
going to
how that,
perform
yeah,
way
that
better.
the demo you did was like, wow.
I mean, it's a stark difference, and obviously a part of that is we need to be putting pressure on developers, but also I don't believe Google is supporting their developers as well as they should be with such a profound change. Now that it's becoming more of a mandatory application process for how storage is handled. So if I'm going to describe performance, you go out into the field and you've got your fancy mirrorless camera and you shoot, I don't know, like 50 raw photos and you want to edit them. And hey, isn't it cool? I don't need to lug around a laptop. I've got this incredible screen in my pocket that I can quickly go through, scrub some things out. I've got an app that's very much like Lightroom. It's awesome. Wait a minute, why is my brand new Powerhouse phone taking longer to load up each file for me to work on than my 3-year-old phone used to handle this exact same kind of process? And no one's going to think, oh, Google did this to me on my Android phone. They're going to think,
You're,
oh, the app developer messed up, or Samsung gave me a crummy update and that tanked performance. Because we all know updates tank your performance. I mean, they're right now. It's kind of a Google gets to make this decision in terms of security. In the claim is that it's for security, and no one's going to tag Google for this profound change in how apps are handling data and just the extra hoops that we need to jump through to manage that now. I mean, if you were ever in your file system and handling things on old File Explorer apps, like that's all changed now too, and you have less access to a whole bunch of folders that you used to be able to just clean out whenever you were done with the project. So
yeah, no.
that's definitely been a challenge because, generationally now, when I describe performance, the entire chain of trying to perform a task has gotten more complicated. One specific aspect of that might still perform about the same, but I'm also not seeing a bunch of areas where it's improving. So generationally, I think we're kind of hitting this weird little plateau of increasingly higher CPU and GPU performance, but apps aren't really getting to use it. They're all kind of floating at kind of the same comfortable
they're stuck
middle.
loading. They're stuck in the loading
They
process.
are.
The bus basically, not the bus, but essentially, yeah, they're stuck in the way the Android file system allows them to access storage, how they're compartmentalizing storage now, and now allowing apps to share storage so that they can provide more security. You go very, very well into details as to what the frustration. And I think if anybody's listening to this or watching the show right now with us, of course, that video is very well put together in the demonstration. This is the big thing: is when you have a problem, when you have a concern with something, demonstrating it and showing it always provides the context of where the conversation's coming from. And for creators that may need to do a 200 photo batch edit in at one point, like an auto conversion.
Truthfully, that person doesn't exist. But
His name's Juan, but that's not the point right now. That's not important right now. Stay with me, man.
I was going to say it's a good airplane joke. And don't call me Shirley. But I'm purposely showing something that I think is an extreme example of what this looks like, and I'm doing that so I can show it.
Oh.
But it does have that impact at even low level use. So your ability to just open a file, edit that file, save the output of that edit has been extended to the same degree as me showing, a batch process of 200 raw files from a Sony mirrorless full frame camera. So I don't know. I don't want to harp on that too much, but it's just been irritating because I think we've been through, and especially a number of people who would watch or listen to a podcast like ours, I think we've been through a window of time where this notion of power user portable computing feels like it's getting eroded. Every year we're promised mind-boggling new levels and tiers of compute power, but our ability to really put that rubber to the road and do better work from our pocket computers and replace other computers with our pocket computers doesn't feel like it's been living up to that kind of conversation or that kind of marketing. I do not need more CPU and GPU compute power if I really can't use it. And if it's difficult to use, or if apps aren't being optimized for it, or if the battery tanks because power management is just out of control right now, that doesn't actually become a benefit. But at the same time, I know rationally I'm reaching levels of compute power that are shaming like 2-year-old laptops. So why can't I put this power towards practical output and work replacement? And if a family's hurting, why can't they plug a phone into a monitor and just turn it into a little mini temporary computer workstation when they need to? It's the discord between like average consumers don't do things with their phones, but TikTok and email, and you're like, but they would. We've been going out of our way for the last couple of years to make that more difficult. Why? I don't blame them for not trying to do more with their phones. I'm saying, why aren't we using our platforms and our marketing departments and these opportunities to raise the level of discussion so people know that they can do those things with their phones?
No, and I think that's part of what we try to do and what we try to help enlighten, or at least bring light to, as far as capabilities and what the hardware can do, as to the fact that, like you said, it outperforms laptops from a couple of years ago when it comes down to rendering similar timelines. It is crazy. But
so short story, incredibly long. I don't know,
long.
guys. Like sometimes I try to launch the camera on the Pixel 6 Pro and it feels like a little bit slower. So I can't show you that on camera, but I guess you'll just have to go and buy a Sam Apple instead. I mean, that's the only conclusion I can come to. It doesn't matter that everything has gotten better, that this is a huge generational leap, that this is one of the best telephoto sensors you could ever use on a phone in any lighting conditions. Sometimes I go to launch the camera and I just think it feels a little bit slow. You'll just have to take my word take my word on it, because I can't show you any evidence to back up that claim, but I have the feelings. So
you got
there
the
you
feelings.
Go.
Juan has the
36
feeling.
minutes of Pixel 6 commentary. It's basically, just buy a Samsung. There you go, folks. You didn't ask for a comparison. You asked for a Pixel 6 review. But in the Pixel 6 review, I just tell you to buy a Samsung.
I'm actually
That's
kind
not
of
what really happens.
No. I absolutely not. And I think this is where we kind of need to kind of, like I said, set the expectations and understand what Pixel. I'm not gonna lie, honestly. Look, the Pixel 6 Pro has been getting better time as improvements and updates. The December update did fix some issues. The January update fixed some other issues, and then we got February fixing some of the Bluetooth issues that were going on with some of the issues going around there.
There was just another bug fix, a little 10 megabyte
10 megabyte
today.
Yeah, saw it this morning, exactly. So here's the thing, I made sure to rerun some of my tests on the buds after the patch, because I've been my video is on the Pixel 6 Pro, because you have to always, like, whenever I hate when you're in the middle of making a video and then an update gets dropped either on the phone or on the buds themselves, and you're like,
great,
oh, thank you,
awesome.
2 minutes before I hit that produce thing. So I did make sure to redo my content after I re-updated not only the Pixel 6 Pro. There is one update. There was one update to the one more, but that was it came out. I think it was right when I first set them up, 1.5.4. But yeah. So long story short, I'm like I said, the Pixel 6 is a very evolving product. I think it's a very good move for Google to try to move away and start setting themselves up. But they took on a lot of things to change at the same time. And like I said, it needs a few updates to get through. This is why day one videos on any product is a little bit hard to measure, right? Because your experience on day one may be one thing, and then with a couple of updates, it may be even better, maybe worse.
The nice thing is especially the way that I was able to pace this one out. I honestly, I feel like I wanted to give it one more feature. What do they call that when they
Uno
feature
más?
drop?
Oh, one more feature drop, yeah.
Just to see if there would be yet another significant camera improvement. But after my experiences with the Nokia 9, where I never finished reviewing that phone, I really didn't. I was so fair to this ambitious experiment that I think I did myself a disservice in trying to embrace what the vision of that phone was, rather than talking as much about the real lived-in practical day-to-day experience of using that phone.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to do that to the Pixel 6. I have a lot of hope for what the mission of a Pixel camera should be. And I feel like Google has absolutely improved in most areas, but it's just a component of optical physics that when you change things, it's never just, we improved this. You always have compromises that arise from such fundamental changes, from such significant changes. And one of the beautiful things about at least getting through 2 direct Google Play camera updates and 1 massive Google
OS update. Google
OTA, I at least had some samples where I could demonstrate very clearly. Like, I've got some video samples, humongous improvements to video quality in the short period of time that we've already had it. One of Google's Achilles heels, like, they've always been a stills company with okay video, right?
Oh,
I've
yeah,
always thought
absolutely.
they've always tried to lean on image stabilization at the expense of image integrity. They will wreck your video quality to try and keep it as stable as possible. And on the Pixel 6, where we were at launch versus where we are now is visibly, tangibly, across the board, radically improved. And it's great because, like, I had samples from similar locations just months apart, and I could show, like, look at this, look at what the phone's doing. And I think that's one of the clearest examples. Like, it's not going to be perfect. We might go the entire life of the Pixel never completely, fully realizing what this camera system could be. There is the potential that we just never get there, wherever there might be. But I feel like if the mission is the product continuing to evolve, continuing to be refined, and offers up consumers the experience that Google is promising, then I'm okay. I'm okay saying that this is solid. In the couple months that I've had it, I feel not conflicted at all recommending a Pixel to someone who's going to vibe with the Pixel mission. To me, this is already a huge step in the right direction. There are some just teething pains that I think we still need to work out. There are a few gremlins that I think are just baked in that are never going to get properly resolved, but the conversation is evolving exactly the way I want it to evolve for the short period of time that we've been able to play with it.
No, I totally agree with you on that one. And real quick to answer Michael Peppertech's question here real quick. Either of you guys have any experience freezing during image processing where it doesn't fully process an image when you're using it in portrait or night sight? For me, I'll let you go.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've been sucking all the air out. So please, TK, you handle that first.
Remember, the universe revolves around. I'm just kidding.
No, look, no, you don't. It really does all go around me.
Hey, Pluto, what the? No. I just truly never, ever feel like you suck the air out of a room when you are talking about such interesting conversations.
That is very kind, but Michael
seriously.
Asked a great question, and I do want to hear
So
more.
in Michael's question, which is very nice, for me, I haven't had any issues where the image never fully processed. For me, the only thing that I see occasionally is where I take the picture and I have to wait about a second or so for it to show up in my gallery. Like the processing sometimes isn't as like what we used to see with Pixels, like the Pixel 5 and the Pixel 4a 5G or Pixel 5a even. That's just for me, I've gotten used to it. Whenever I take a picture with a Pixel or the Pixel 6 Pro, I know that I take the picture and I need to give it a second. It shows up and I look at it and it's fully done. If I'm taking multiple pictures and I don't need to keep checking my gallery, I don't really notice it as much. But I don't remember a situation where I ever had it not process. Like you snap the image and it doesn't finish it, or it doesn't, or the camera app freezes or crashes. At least on my experience, and I don't know. Like I said, I sideloaded the December update, and most people were having issues with it, and I did not necessarily have that as much issue with it on my phone. So I don't know how it was for you.
Yeah, I was way late. I did not get the December patch. I was just on launch software.
I circumvented everything because I couldn't wait. I just did not want to wait. And
I had enough on my plate. I was like, you know what? I don't feel I have it in me to go flashing phones right now. But I've been very lucky. So a few people have been complaining that like Magic Eraser gets broken on this most recent update. My Magic Eraser is still doing fine. My motion blur effects are still doing fine. I have 40 gig, maybe 50 gig of photo and video samples since launch. And there aren't any failed files. Like for example, like on a Samsung, on my Vivo, I had one on my Vivo where because of the way that it does super raw, it corrupted a raw file. And something gets interrupted in the final steps of finishing off a file and it goes bork. I've been so lucky, nothing so far. I shoot very heavy on night sight. I love shooting low light, that kind of image processing, especially from the Vivo and the Pixel 6, like two of the best systems you can use for pulling information out of super, super dark kinds of scenes. I don't shoot heavy on portrait mode. So if there's something buggy about image detection, subject detection, or cutting algorithms in portrait mode, I don't know. I shoot, again, on the Vivo, they have a dedicated portrait sensor. I use that, but I only use it like in manual mode, so it's not doing the artificial blur. And on the Pixel, if I take a portrait of someone, it's from the telephoto. So I haven't had anything interrupt the process of finishing off a file so far.
Yeah, it seems like he's saying it happened to him is occasionally I've had to close the camera app and go back into it, and then it finishes processing, or else we just basically took, okay. Looks like watercolor. Maybe that's that new feature, water painting. No, I'm just kidding.
You know what I've been dying for is a good Monet mode.
The Monet
I do
mode.
not feel we have like, impressionist painter mode. You get a Renoir going on. You could get a Degas. It could be like for ballerinas and for horses. You could have a Degas mode. That would be awesome. But if you ever need to shoot water lilies or haystacks, then it's Monet. But if you need like downtown, like Paris, then it's Manet. You want the Manet mode, not the Monet mode.
The Manet. I like that one. Oh my God. Next here, quickly.
Such a
any
dumb
news?
joke.
No, I know. Especially
sorry.
It is. Obviously, so I'll say this, Michael. It shouldn't be that situation. My question would make sure is double check and see the Play Store and see if there's any updates to your camera, or if you're running on all of the updates.
Now, Michael Peppertech knows stuff. So I mean, like for anyone else listening, clear your cache, clear your storage, check for updates.
Yep.
Yeah. You like there are the basic troubleshooting things that you can do to try and patch that out. I would not be surprised though if
it hasn't happened since 12L. It seems like 12L is doing this. Yeah, so he's ahead of us now.
Yeah, I pulled out my Pixel 5, like, hey, you know what I'm going to do? So from our last conversation, I was like, hey, I'm going to load 12L on it. Have not gotten around to it.
Well, because 13 came out and circumvented 12L.
Haven't gotten it.
No, I mean it's developer preview 1. It's really super early. It looks very, very aesthetically. It doesn't really look very different, and I don't think 13 is going to be as radical as 12 when it comes down to the aesthetics. Material use out. I think overall, if anything, it's going to be under the hood optimizations, profile management, and security.
Yeah, the security features look real big, and again, as another step away from scope storage, I actually do like the implementation of Photo Picker.
Oh yeah,
the Photo Picker on Android 13 looks like a very smart way to define limits on what another app can see in your photo gallery or in your documents or in your file storage. I
Absolutely.
don't like their implementation of scope storage, but I do like what I'm seeing from Photo and File Picker. That
Yeah,
looks
no,
smart
no.
to me.
I agree, and I think that's one of those really nice things. And the other question that we have here is the question
Um,
of the year at this point.
yeah, we're all waiting on this. I wish we had better
The
information for you, buddy.
I'll say this. I can tell you that I've been bugging my contacts over at the USPR for almost, I was going to say months, for over a month, because it's been about a month now that the official one was announced and released in China. They had the launch event for the OnePlus 10 Pro, and it seems like almost everybody already imported theirs and have already reviewed the Color OS version for some reason. I don't know why, but yeah, no word yet. And
Yeah.
I mean, so I'll be honest. I was hoping for something to come up maybe around, like now, since everybody's kind of like trying to put things around mobile or Congress. I reached out and I still nothing. They said unfortunately
Well,
nothing to share this time. And
and seeing Samsung kind of melt down on their pre-orders, like their systems weren't ready for the
I'm
kind of pre-orders that they were going to have.
genuinely surprised that that kind of debacle went around a
Yeah.
launch event where, I mean, typically I hear about these things, but it frustrated me so much that I'm like, okay, it's one thing for the system to just bork and like whatever. Because of the system errors and everything going on, I lost the $50 credit pre-reservation thing that they were doing. I couldn't get that in there. And when I called them back, they were like, sorry, we can't do anything. If you'd like, you can cancel the order and we'll try to help you. I'm like, no, I canceled my order. I'm not getting my device till like April or June at this point. This is like
Yeah.
the whole, Pixel thing. And sure enough, you go back to the Samsung site now, you try to put in an order. Your order won't come in till April, like mid to late April. So long
It's
story
like
long,
that's around when my Steam Deck is going to
it's like
arrive. There's no way I could buy a Samsung
I'll
then.
put $700 on a Steam Deck and just go there, and I think you'll be better off. So yeah, the this is one of the hardest things to say because everybody was complaining about it on the Instagrams, on the Twitters, and everything.
Yeah.
So and even Samsung customer service were like lines were like very long, and the 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 story is, I think what happened is I don't know what was the actual cause of it, but the reality is it left a lot of people with, especially the diehard fans that are going to be pre-ordering and reserving and all of that, with a very mixed experience. And some people may not even want to get the device at that point because, again, if you weren't able to get it in the beginning, where some people were getting it in April and late March and so on, it makes no sense. Because like for me, if I don't
It
get
takes
it,
some of the fun out of it, and
oh, absolutely.
yeah.
It for me, it's a work situation, right?
Yeah, I mean,
If I get the hardware later, not to say that there was, I mean, everything's
But-
already covered. I'm not going to
but I
bring
just
anything new,
mean,
apparently.
again, because we keep overselling power and upgrades, but then we don't really live up to that. Like, there's nothing new you can do on a phone in 2022 that you couldn't do on a phone from 2019. and
This is still the best S out there. What the Note is doing here is giving you an S Pen and maybe a memory upgrade, but the reality, for the most part, similar camera stack. The tricks that we're able to do here are not so substantial that if you bought an S21 from Ultra from last year, that you wouldn't be able to. So seriously, if you have an S21 Ultra, faster charging speed is about the main benefit that you can tangibly put your finger on.
But what I mean is, like, our pre-order hype train Samsung machine is kind of built on that emotional. Oh, but if I do it now at launch, I'll have a better trade-in, and maybe they'll give me some earbuds, and like, it's that early knee-jerk reaction where, I mean, you can shop a really good deal. Samsung totally messes around with all of their phone value. Like, they cut the value of their own phones in real time.
Wait for the buy one get one free is when that kicks in, and you're like, wait, they're able to comp an entire phone now within a month or so after launch. Yeah, it's gonna be.
So it is, if you really do need a new phone, I feel there are better times to buy Samsung than just right at launch. And especially if you don't need, like, I mean, like, I've got family members that have good earbuds. They don't need new Galaxy buds. Nothing is going to change for them if they jump right on the launch or the pre-order or something like that. So it's a curious state of affairs, but especially, I mean, coming back to the OnePlus 10, and also Darren having a comment here about the OnePlus Nord looking a
So,
lot like the Oppo Reno 7. I feel like right now BBK is in kind of a holding pattern on a number of their international versions. I can't remember who showed it off, but it was someone on Twitter.
Virgins?
Yeah.
Sorry, the show went way OnlyFans right away.
Just,
Where is the DTA when we need him? Yeah, no, I know.
Some only Juan's content right there. But I can't remember who it was. It was someone in my Twitter feed, and I don't know if he was like breaking embargo or not. But he's got the new the new iQOO, the new Vivo, the really sporty looking. It's like BMW flavored or something like that.
Oh,
And you're like, these BBK brands, it's like, I think we're getting close to those pushes where we're going to start seeing more of the international versions.
Mm-hmm.
That's the next phase. And then if you're in the United States, we're the phase after that. You know, we know that BBK is not looking to North America as a significant source of revenue. So with all of the component shortages, with all of the manufacturing and distribution issues, you satisfy China and the Asian Pacific region first. Mm-hmm. Then you go with the international launch, which is probably mostly just Europe. Then you start looking at like...
When you say global, it's really focused on Europe.
Europe.
Middle East gets part of that as well, but it's literally, I think it's 90%.
Then you could probably also look at like Australia and South America, depending on what's going on.
Darren's saying is it the
iQOO 9 Pro?
iQOO 9
That's
Pro?
what it is.
Oh, okay.
It's real pretty. And again, it's a BBK part spin, so it's kind of like taking, from what I saw of the picture, it looked a little like taking
so you said BMW, which is very interesting because Xiaomi's doing a collaboration for their 12 with Mercedes. I don't know if you saw that. It was on their feed. I think earlier this week.
Let me see if I can get it to do it, because one of the Vivo X70 wallpapers is a Mercedes.
And OnePlus used to do collaborations with McLaren. We just need one with Toyota, and then we're good. I think we need to get the collaboration with Lexus.
But I like, because again, I keep using cars as a metaphor for cool tech. I can't find it in the wallpapers. I swear.
Steve DeRoche is saying, "I love Haiku." Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, come on. Here. No, I've got it, but I've got a bunch of like set up. So, oh no! Stop putting stuff on the screen. So I don't know if that'll focus, but that's a Mercedes on the Vivo X70.
I can tell it's a Mercedes.
Not gonna block my face. Oh,
no! It's in video.
There's a Jag. There's a Jag. So it's funny, because
I trust you. It's a Jag.
The iQOO, there it goes.
There you go.
If the iQOO is a partnership with BMW, it's just funny that on another Vivo, they've been doing like cool wallpapers of other cars.
Their magazine reel has been interesting. I want to say on my Reno 7 Pro, I had some kind of pop feed. It was going through K-pop, and Justin Timberlake turned up. I'm like,
great.
What? Okay. No, I seriously, what I really like, I really would hope, not one BBK brand or sub brand has been giving us the opportunity to put video live wallpapers on the lock screen. I really like that. As a feature of like one thing I've loved about Samsung and Xiaomi phones with MIUI is they allowed us to do that. We could put live wallpapers on the lock screen. So for me, like Goku videos and so on like that. I don't mind still images and so on, but I feel like at the end of the day, I love that experience. So if you're listening, please put that into whatever MIUI 13.
Again, Darren's schooling us here, because like my only experience with Vivo has been the X70. So apparently they've been doing
for
it with
years.
BMW.
Oh, okay. I've never used Vivo, so for me, I mean, with the exception of the Pro Plus, the
X70,
70, X70 Pro Plus, Lamborghini Super Ultra edition, and now BMW
with Mercedes and Jaguar. Wallpapers.
Yes, and then here it says Michael Peppertech, Samsung is doing a Benz edition of their S22 Ultra for South Korea. Oh my god! So Samsung's doing Mercedes and Xiaomi's doing Mercedes. Either way, I think collaborations with cars is always exciting and very fun. Because to me, cars and tech and they're becoming more tech forward now with all these new technologies implemented. Yeah, I'm not this, like I said, ever since the McLaren edition OnePlus devices, which has been literally one of my favorite collaboration between two companies. And then of course with the Cyberpunk edition and a whole bunch of I like themed phones. It's exciting. It gets you a little bit more personal, and so yeah,
But
very.
but to Darren's original point, which started us off on this whole tangent, I'm kind of not surprised though. It seems like BBK, in light of, I think some of these component issues, it looks like they're circling the wagons on their parts bins. And it looks
We're gonna
like
start. Yeah.
Vivos are feeling a little bit more like OnePlus. OnePlus is looking a little more like an Oppo. I mean, you've been talking about some of those Realmes. They
No,
look
the Realme.
like,
This has a very
yeah.
Reno feel to it. I realize, obviously, partnerships and relationships and so on, but Xiaomi, sorry, not Xiaomi, Oppo released the Reno 7 Pro just before this, and they have similar things. They both have similar like color changing or color reflective backs. This one entirely changes the color, which is slightly different. Like in the sun, seriously, sunset orange hue. The colors are crazy good in
Yeah.
direct sunlight. Indoors, it looks blue, and there's a little bit of a stardust effect. Yeah, and it's to be expected. I think there, as you said, it seems like it's more of a holding, somewhat not necessarily holding pattern, but they're working their spin. They're like move this here, do this there, and they're not in the same market, so it's a little
Yeah.
bit hard to catch unless somebody's reviewing them. Typically, they put them. In
We
different
get to
markets.
see it because we'll put those
Yeah, yeah,
phones side by
it's
side.
a unique
for
experience.
sure.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. No, so let me see here. Oh, Michael's jumping back. So some say that the Samsung bends us. Oh my!
You took too long.
I stopped the moment I saw
Michael
the
Pepper Tech nailed it.
Michael. I mean, if we were monetized, which we're not, this would be lahaba. No, that would be the end of the show. So the reality, the reason why I'm mentioning it, because I think also Michael stated before earlier, he said his S22 is shipping out on Monday, so more than likely by Tuesday or something like that. What I'm trying to say is by mid next week, we're going to have an onslaught of people getting their excitement fulfilled. And
so
we'll see what the
this
impressions
is-
are.
This is where, okay, we've got like 20 people watching right now. I need everybody to properly support the content creators that are getting their units because they actually put in pre-orders, they actually bought them, they're just getting their hands-on done, they're just getting their first unboxings videos done. These are the content creators that are actually going to live with devices that they have their own skin in the game.
Oh yeah,
Right? So I will call the Samsung onslaught annoying when it's all of the embargo, pre-release, first impressions, just reading the specs list, and it totally destroys my YouTube feed for like 3 days. That to me is an onslaught. I turn it off. That is not a commentary I'm interested in, is watching video after video after video of people just reading the specs that we saw in the keynote, but they've got pretty B-roll. Now is the opportunity. Michael Peppertech is in our chat right now.
Yeah.
He put in an order. He is going to spend some time. I like his commentary. He's thoughtful. He's engaged. He is speaking to a personal experience on owning and using that phone. And to me, that is going to be more valuable. So over these next couple weeks, you're going to get a ton of Samsung content. But this is the time where you make the effort. Give someone a share. Hook someone up with an upvote on Reddit. Give them the thumbs up on the YouTube page. I mean, like, this is where you get the content that you want. If you want more of that content, you've got to support it. You've got to engage with it. You've got to interact with it. You've got to feed the algorithm your behavior. And that's where you'll get the kind of meaningful experience out of these kinds of products. I'm excited for what's to come because now I know people who I trust better will be sharing their thoughts on these products, and the entire conversation is going to get a lot broader. The more of the pros and cons of what it's like to live with this phone are going to rise to the surface at exactly the time that YouTube's algorithm is going to start devaluing Samsung as a topic. We have to make up that extra energy because the algorithm is already deciding that this topic is over, that the topic has passed. So if you're really a techie and you're really a tech fan in this conversation right now, this is where we need to double down. I'm going to be on Glowing Rectangles. I'm going to be on Twitter. I'm going to be in my Discord trying to kind of generate some engagement and some excitement from the people that are following me there. This is our time. This is if we want to continue supporting good, in-depth, thoughtful review commentary, we've got to support it. We've got to make the effort.
Absolutely, and I think that's again the especially also for long term for anybody that's looking for long term coverage. I'm not trying to say anything against certain companies or so on, whatever, but the reality is everything that you've seen right now from creators to this point are pre-embargo, pre-release, early hardware, early software even. And realistically, we don't even know if there's going to be a push for an update right when the devices become available to the public. But more than likely, beyond what the content's been created, we really won't really see anything from, if you're looking for longer term lived in updates, issues, concerns, whatever, those are the creators that you really want to be able to check out and look into. Again, I'm not trying to put shade or anything on anybody on there. That's just, it's really more of the cyclical part of everything, as you said, with that metric dropping, the content typically, they doesn't get review.
It's not so much that I'm trying to call out individual reviewers who've built their followings and built their channels to a certain tier of success. What I'm trying to call out is a trend that I think is distasteful. Samsung knows they're going to get a surge of commentary pre-embargo. They dole out access in very specific ways to try and keep their hype train running optimally. And they know that as soon as real people start living with their products and having more nuanced pros and cons kind of conversation,
it's where the issue starts
but
popping up. It's when people,
Samsung knows that that's where they can tail end the main surge of their commentary, and fewer people are really going to listen to these other channels. So that to me is, I do not appreciate Samsung's style of marketing and PR. I don't like how they handle their customers. I don't like how they do business. And so for me, it's a philosophical gripe with a massive billion-dollar corporation. So to me, it's never embargo and hype train. To me, it's always going to be, what are people doing with their phones? Because if all I see is an embargo video, they don't do anything with those phones. You don't use them for anything.
Well, it's also the lived-in
watch
experience.
One of those videos and tell me, what do they do on this $1,000 phone? They use the 5G and they play some Genshin and like they don't do $1,000 worth of work on that phone. So now's the time that we actually get to see $1,000 worth of work on these phones.
Absolutely, and a little bit of a teaser, which is what I wanted to kind of tease up at the end. I know with other challenges and so on, Juan and I are going to try to do similarly to what we did last year, which was getting a chance to get both of our hands on some of the S21s, S22s, wrong year, different market. And try to see some impressions and see if there's any generational improvements on the software that can help what an S21 was and what an S22 is. Last thing, I realize we're kind of running almost around our limit in there. So Honor did also push out a little thing. Seems like they're going to have an event at MWC. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it was the Magic 4, or is it? I thought it was a different series, but it seems like the Magic series is going to have another event. I don't know if it was the Magic V or I think was it the Magic? Yeah, I think it's the Magic 4. I could be wrong. I saw the tweet, and we'll find out when we're there. And I'm hopefully, just for everybody, I will be attending MWC in about a couple of weeks. So just a little bit of a heads up. Not this week's Android Bay, but next week's Android Bay may happen slightly later and in a more remote location as I'm navigating my way. I try. No, so I am. No. Just kind of a heads up. So I will be going. Is it the Honor Magic 5? Is it the 5? So the Magic 5, I think that's not a 5. I think that's a V. That's the foldable, right?
Oh, you're right. You're right.
You're right. They did the V thing on there. I want to say, hold on. Now you're making me go to Twitter.
I don't know. It's so frustrating. I mean, like I pulled out all those red phones for Valentine's Day, and one of them was my Honor View 20. You're like,
I saw that
one. Such a good phone.
Yeah, man.
It's still such a good phone today.
Okay, here it's Honor Global, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I was right. Yeah, it's the Honor Magic 4. So it says, join us for a newest flagship phone, the Honor Magic 4 series at MWC Barcelona 22, the power of magic. So yeah, so for that one, it seems like we will find out in, what is it, the 28th? Oh wow, in like literally barely over a week from now.
I mean, there's so many phones that are going to be launching at the end of February.
Febtober is in full effect. I'll just say that.
It's going to be brutal.
It is crazy. It's exciting, but it's brutal, and it is going to be very interesting. So we'll have to see how that kind of goes there. But with that being said, I know we're kind of reaching at that magical 1.5 time that we usually go with. I'm actually looking forward to seeing what we get if my unit ships. So here's my little bit of dilemma as and only me in my own little bubble kind of thing. It's supposed to ship out, and I'm supposed to get the 22 Ultra on the 25th. I leave on the 26th. So if there is any delay, if FedEx decides to take my phone across country for some reason, I'm going to be probably about a week and a half late to everything. So which is, obviously whatever it is what it is. I'm hoping I'm in the same boat as Michael, and mine ships a little earlier. It is what it is. Honestly, I'm going to be in a more exciting place. If anything, I'll probably see the S22 Ultra at MWC sitting at the end of the Samsung booth.
Well, if you're out there in MWC, I'm going to be so mad if you don't come back with like a suitcase full of like Honor, Oppo, Realme's. Just like you just lug it, just a giant luggage.
No. Let's be honest with each other. I am not in any shortage of Realme hardware. I love Realme. I really like it. And I love that I get a chance to check out some of their other options because this year's within the last few months, I've had quite an influx. And like I said, the Dragon Ball Z phone, like seriously, ever since they made that, they've had me. Like I'm a solid fan to the end, diehard fan. You got Goku, you got me in there. I don't know if you guys could see it. It's right there. That's the Dragon Ball phone. No, you can't. You can. See
not on your crop. I can see it.
Yeah,
I can see where you're pointing. Yeah, there you go.
There. So that's the Dragon Ball Z phone. You can always see it. It's in the show. I realize we have a crop, a little bit of, and I'm like, my hand's pointing off camera. I was like, can you see? No. It's pretty. So yeah, big fan. The Realme solution, the 9 and the 9 Pro, the 9 Pro and the 9 Pro Plus are definitely very, very well thought, very well tailored experiences. And they're also teasing out also that there'll be something else going on there. So I'm also looking forward to seeing what they have there once the show kind of kicks up on the 28th. If I'm not mistaken, I think the 28th is the first day of MWC. It goes 28th through the 3rd. So we'll see.
It'll be good.
We'll
time,
see how
I'm so
I will be practicing my
there.
Catalan or in my Spanish and how bad it is in Spain.
It's not
Spanish. Oh no.
But Catalan is completely foreign to my.
Oh my God! Stuttering and trying to figure out and what's going on and all of that. It's like that. The last time I went to MWC I was by myself, which again I'm going by myself. But it was a very shock. There was a big shock value into it because of the. It reminded me a lot of Germany, where if you're not in the main downtown, like in Munich or some of the major cities, the most people don't learn English. Like they don't know English, and they only want to communicate in their own language, which obviously rightfully so. It's their country. Yeah. I'm not gonna walk in there and say you should speak as English. No, but Catalan is not our Spanish of Southern California, what we know as Spanish.
Oh, and they're so proud of not speaking Spanish to you.
Absolutely.
Even though I'm pretty sure they can understand it better.
Oh, no, they do. And that was the thing. I've had a few people tell me, it's like, we can figure out what you mean, but that's
we're not going to make the effort. I'm going to watch you struggle. This is great. Yeah, and you're like, I just want a paella. Can you just, I need your help.
I want low sugar. What? No sugar. It's one of those azúcar. So you know what I mean? Like, again, Spanish for me is broken to start with. I understand a lot of it, but trying to hail a cab, trying to go to a store, and trying to, it gets challenging. But at the end of the day,
and like the last MWC I went to, I went with Jaime, and both of us were like, we're stuck.
Jaime's like, okay. So speaking of, okay. Before we end the show, I do want to ask this one question. There is a city in LA. Okay. And I'm gonna type it in the notes. And I want people to try and I want you Juan to read what you think this is, and tell me how would you read this thing phonetically. In LA, you live in LA, right? So how do you call the city in LA? Do you want to take a stab at it?
Anyone in the chat? Anyone?
Well, obviously,
Bueller?
no. What I was going to say, the they can't really say it because we can't hear them.
No, but I
what
mean, you could like phonetically spell it.
yeah,
No, I
phonetically,
mean,
if anybody
you
wants to
would,
take a stab at it.
you would be incorrect unless you said Los Feliz.
Okay. There's a small variation. So in LA, though, I mean, there's different ways of seeing it, right? The Spanish way of saying it is Los Feliz, right? That's the correct name of the city, and I'm sure that's what the original name was. But LA folks, and on the news, if they ever refer to the city, they always refer to it as Los Feliz, not Los Feliz. And I was talking to David Kogan, the unlocker, last week during an event for for Verizon, and he kept calling the cities. I'm going to go to Los Feliz. I'm going to go to Los Feliz. And I'm going to. It's called Los Feliz, and then there was a whole debate going on. So my question to you, Juan, do you call the city Los Feliz or Los Feliz?
Oh no, unfortunately, I've anglicized it along with the rest of California.
California, which is Los Feliz. And there is articles written on how people call it.
Real gross. I mean, you'll be talking to one of those friends of yours, and it becomes like Feles.
Yeah,
I mean, like it gets like sneery Karen sounding.
Los
and it gets
Oh, Steve is killing it. So I'm gonna end it with that one because we're going. he commented with 2 stars, and then
But
he
the
put
same thing
letters
happened
and
in Albuquerque. There's a street in Albuquerque, Juantabo. So how would you pronounce that?
Juan.
Like me,
Yeah.
and then Tabo.
Tabo. Huatobo? Huatobo?
No, two separate. It's a name.
Oh, Juantobo. Juantobo.
Tabo.
Oh, Juantabo. Juantabo.
Juantabo. You would
Yeah,
say
Juantabo. That's
tabo.
the Spanish. Yeah, Tabo.
Not with the
Table.
minor anglicization of Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's now Juantabo.
Tabo. Oh, it's like Target. I like it.
And it's like Tuh
Tabo.
BOW with like a dash. It's Tabo. And you're like,
Tabo.
it's not though. It's Tabo.
Tabo. Well, yeah. So this is the thing.
I said that as if I was Cubano. It's
Yeah, like
Tabo.
¿Cómo se dice tubado? Like no. It's to me. I appreciate the original language. And like I said, when David was saying Los Feliz the whole time, I totally
Yes,
got
that
it.
is correct.
Correct. But at the time I was we were in company with 2. That we had a Chicago transplant into LA, which was the Verizon PR, and of course we had Kogan, which is a Brooklyn visiting LA kind of a situation. Surprisingly, by the way, the Verizon PR used to be an LG PR, so you may know her from back in the old the LG
Oh, hey.
and Nokia. Elizabeth, I don't know if you know, or Liz. She goes by Liz. I was surprised to know because we never really connected with her during the.
I'm going to have to
LG
dig in. I don't think I know Liz. But anyway, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Your
long story short, and then the whole conversation went. So in his video on the S22, where he was showing his comparison, he threw me in there and he threw Jaime, because Jaime also sent him an audio clip saying Los Feliz.
Feliz.
Les Feliz.
You know, like
Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad. Y
Navidad,
prospero
exactly.
año y felicidad.
Navidad. So anyways, long story short, this is how it is in LA. We like to butcher things, but yeah.
I mean, it
Los
happens,
Feliz.
man. And it's unfortunate, but it happens.
Tabo. Yes, that's how we do it.
Stop.
So, with that being said, I do want to say first and foremost, thank you to everybody for hanging out with us on this beautiful, amazing lens cleaning experience on this February 17, 2022. Next week's show, we'll be back on Thursday for another best of our week. We'll obviously have some more exciting content to cover. Who knows how many more devices will be released from now till next week, and what other conversations we'll be able to have. Well, I mean, MWC is coming around the corner, so obviously there's going to be a massive build-up. We already know Honor's going to be there. We know Realme is going to be there. I'm sure other companies are going to be announcing some things as well. So I'll try to give you guys the best coverage as much as I can once I'm there, and we'll have to figure out some kind of a good way of doing our show. I'll be traveling on the following Thursday back home. So I don't know if we want to try to do it maybe Wednesday, or maybe we could do a Friday morning show. We'll have to see how our schedules kind of go.
We'll figure something out, because I'd really love to kind of pick your brain while it's still super fresh.
Oh, absolutely. Or super exhausted, whichever, and you'll get the best answers either way. So thank you very much, Juan, for hanging out with us. Thanks for everybody for Chop in there. Golan Lovey's in there as well. Steve DeRoche kicking it with us. Darren, Michael Peppertech as always, and of course, I think everybody else in the chat. Make sure to check out the audio podcast. It comes out about a day or so after the show, and you'll be able to basically hang with us and also get some of the experiences in there. You can always connect with Juan on the socials, Mr. Some Gadget Guy, as well as Juan Bagnell on YouTube and the Twitters, myself, TK Bay, and everything like that. Stay safe, be safe, and enjoy your life, and enjoy your tech, because that's the whole point, right? Why get tech if you can't have fun with it?
Right? Have fun with it.
If you don't have fun, then you're getting the wrong piece of tech.
You're doing it wrong.
Hold the phone the other way. No, I'm just kidding. Take care, everybody. We'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.